The O2 Academy, celebrating 80 years in the business, but not without a few surprises. Let's take a look back to when it all started.
As you walk through one of the 5 doors of the Astoria, the first thing you notice is the semi-dome ceiling. Just below on the inside, a stucco balcony where once members of the orchestra played. The black and white Italian marble flooring leads into the lobby, with staircases on either side, all dating back to the Art Deco period of the 1920s and the 1930s. When architect Edward Albert Stone was commissioned to build the cinema in 1927, the brief was plain and simple: expanse, comfort and atmosphere. Built on a site which was once a Victorian garden, Edward Albert Stone took all this into consideration when designing the interior, bringing the outdoor living indoors based on the great Italian masterpieces of the colonial palace. The first adverts appeared in the local press in July 1929 with the headline "Brixton's Wonder Theatre, 4 times the size of the Victoria Palace, bigger than the New York Roxy, seating 3,985. The Astoria Cinema was open 7 days a week with matinee and evening performances. A gala performance took place on the 19th of August 1929. Only 1,500 tickets were made available to the general public. Amongst the invited guests from stage and screen were Paolo Negri, Betty Balfour and Alfred Hitchcock. Brixton Police dispatched 2 officers to the scene to keep public order. With 500 cars and crowds exceeding 10,000, Stockwell Road became roadblocked, delaying the evening's entertainment by 1 hour. The programme started at 7:30 with South London's very first talking picture, The Singing Fool, starring Al Jolson.
Please, play that again, will you?
A variety show followed featuring Winnie Melville, Heddle Nash and Derek Oldham, and not forgetting Fred Kitchen and the Astoria Orchestra. The evening was a huge success with 175,000 visitors in the first month. The Astoria Cinema continued to attract young and old over the foreseeable years.
Well, I was born in 1933 and I remember we lived up Acre Lane, just off of Acre Lane, a place called Torrance Road. And my father, he worked at the races, so he had a good job, he didn't have to worry. We were quite affluent. Mummy was never wanted for anything. Anyway, this particular thing that I can remember that sticks in my mind is my sister took us all to the pictures, the Astoria. And it was just magic going in there because you sat in there, you looked at all these adverts that were coming on, and right at the top was this magic building. It was a Roman villa, and you couldn't stop looking at it. I'd look at that all through the films. I wasn't interested in the films to see if anyone was going to move or come out, and it was really weird and eerie, lovely.
In the late 1930s, newsreels became very widespread. When Queen Mary's visit to Brixton was shown, cheers ran through the cinema.
It's to greet British royalty that the enormous crowd gathers in London's world-famous borough, Lambeth. Children form a large part of the throng and are intent on getting a good view, police or no police. They want to see Queen Mary arrive on her way to open the new Town Hall extension. Welcomed by the Mayor of Lambeth, Her Majesty enters to cut the tape. The extension has been built at a cost of £90,000, and the Town Hall itself was opened in 1908 by King George V when Prince of Wales.
When Great Britain went to war in the 1940s, Lambeth took a battering. A shell exploded just outside the Astoria. After After the war, the country returned to getting back on its feet, celebrating everything British. Racing driver Sidney Allard made the short trip from his workshop in Clapham to the Astoria, driving his winning car straight onto the stage.
By his brilliant win in the Monte Carlo Rally, Sidney Allard, on the right, puts Britain on top of the car world. Car after car reported trouble. Crashes were plentiful. But on through the night they pressed to win the most coveted prize for stock cars. His win brings the trophy to Britain for the first time in 21 years. Lambeth and Brixton have been much in the news recently following the controversy that has raged over the immigration of West Indians to this country. Thousands live in this area. They are, for the most part, entirely accepted by their white neighbours. But the colour bar, officially unrecognised in this country, does operate to a certain extent. To help solve the problems raised when white and coloured people live in the same neighbourhood, the Borough of Lambeth organised a no colour bar dance. The Lambeth Town Hall became a dance hall for the evening. The borough's mayor, Councillor White, was there to greet the guests, 180 white and 180 coloured, as they arrived. The mayor was mainly responsible for promoting the dance. Everything was 50-50. Half the guests were English and half West Indian, and so was the music. East had met West on common ground and had found a lot in common. The rhythm of the mambo was doing its bit towards racial unity. The people of Lambeth offered a hand of welcome to their coloured neighbours.
The rising popularity of television in the 60s meant that cinema had to seek other ways to generate new revenue. Wrestling came to the story at weekends with Housewives favourites Dr. Death, Jumping Jim Moser and Tavray Hunter entertaining the crowds with plenty of grunts and groans. After many glorious bouts, wrestling moved on. Failing to attract new sponsorship and the cinema numbers in decline, the Astoria's final screening was a double bill, Red Sun and the Looking Glass War in July 1972. Just 2 months after closing, the Astoria removed all the seating from the stalls, creating a large dance floor. Renamed the Sundown, South London now had a venue for rock concerts. In 1974, planning permission was then sought to demolish the Grade 2 listed building, with a possibility of building a showroom and petrol station. The people of Brixton, along with the backing of their local MP Marcus Lipton, took to demonstrating outside the Astoria, calling it a damn disgrace. Fortunately, the development scheme was scrapped and Rank Films continued to use the building as a warehouse. The effects of the riots changed the attitudes of the community, leading to irreparable damage, with Watney's carrying out a refurbishment costing £300,000. A concert was staged headlining UB40, Peace to All, in 1981. Sadly, Watney's closed the building after running into mounting debts once again to the public. Simon Park's management team kept an eye on the situation, approaching Watney's with an offer to buy them out. He then transformed the Astoria into a more usable building. Changing the name to the Academy was the first thing. The venue reopened in 1983 with a concert by top Jamaican reggae act Eka Mouse. Throughout the 80s, numerous reggae acts played the Academy, along with local DJs spinning the wheels. In 1985, punk music got a step up when the Clash played 3 nights in a row when punk music was banned by most councils. With the Academy picking up numerous awards, it was fast becoming a top venue. Born in 1947 in Brixton, David Bowie has continued to explore his love of music, films and the importance of the internet, starting out busking in Station Road, later playing with his band Tin Machine at the Astoria. Simon Park's reputation has clearly been respected by many of the performing artists. A building holding 5,000, this attracted the attention of various operators, one being the Break for the Border team, who were now moving into the live music business. Just by chance, a peace and gentleman's agreement led to the new ownership. Apart from rebranding a new sponsorship by O2, the venue remains the same, still attracting big and small bands. Just like in 1929, the Art Deco refurbishment continues in the style of Mark Henry, the crowds entering and leaving through the world famous 5 doors.